I don't want my channel to focus on politics. I repeat, I don't want this channel to focus on politics, especially in an election year when the political atmosphere is toxic. But unfortunately, the fact that passenger rail is, at times, a partisan issue in the United States has left me with no other choice for this video, at least. And because of that, we're going to cover in this video some reasons why political conservatives should want a high-quality passenger rail system in the United States. I'm focusing in on conservatives because when I hear about politicians trying to undermine Amtrak, it's usually conservatives doing this work. For example, conservatives in the United States House of Representatives proposed significant spending reductions to Amtrak. It was the idol of many conservatives, Ronald Reagan, who pushed through significant budget cuts that resulted in numerous service cuts to Amtrak in the early 1980s. And it's conservatives who proposed reversing the right of preference Amtrak theoretically has over freight rail. Emphasis on theoretically, because in reality, freight rail prioritizes themselves over Amtrak, as I covered in a different video. Just to be clear, not all conservatives are trying to undermine passenger rail. Two of the people most instrumental in trying to push back against recent attempts to cut Amtrak came from within the Republican Party itself, namely freshman Congressman Nick LaLota and Anthony D'Esposito from New York. And Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, a Republican, had his state apply for funding that would allow for a feasibility study of expanding Amtrak service in his state. Politicians like these three show that supporting passenger rail need not be a partisan issue. However, it just seems to be the case that when there are attempts to undermine passenger rail in the United States, those attempts usually come from conservatives. And because of that, this video will cover some reasons why even conservatives should want high-quality passenger rail in the United States. The first reason is because passenger rail, if done well, will get people to places faster than cars. Besides, getting from point A to point B quickly is something everyone wants, not just Democrats. Getting between places in a timely manner is not a Republican matter or a Democratic matter. It is a matter for all people. The second reason is that the lower traffic congestion can help first responders respond to emergencies more quickly. Many are the times when I've seen traffic jams in my hometown of New York City keep police cars, fire trucks, and hospital vehicles from getting to emergencies in a prompt manner. In those situations, I just find myself hoping and praying that the person they're responding to isn't dealing with a heart attack, a fire, or some other life-threatening situation. If we can get more of the people driving cars off the road and onto trains and other forms of mass transit, perhaps we can reduce congestion so that first responders can get to crime scenes, fires, and people with medical emergencies alike more quickly. I should place a special emphasis on crime response here, considering that many conservatives like to have a platform focusing on being tough on crime. I don't think I'm exaggerating when saying that the reduced car traffic stemming from increased passenger rail service could save lives. But, as it turns out, the improved response times for first responders is not the only way that passenger rail could improve life expectancy. And I want to emphasize life expectancy because the desire to live longer lives is something that I think both liberals and conservatives can agree on. Another way improved passenger rail could improve life expectancy is by virtue of the fact that passenger rail is a much safer mode of transportation than driving. You are 17 times less likely to die from a passenger rail accident than a car accident. And when about 42,000 Americans a year die in car crashes, that fact is hard to ignore. Another thing to consider on the life expectancy front is stress. Trains are generally a less stressful mode of transportation than driving, according to many a study. This is significant from a life expectancy standpoint because high stress puts you at risk for heart attacks, the leading cause of death in the United States. Lowering one's heart attack risk by reducing stress is not a partisan issue. And as passenger rail lowers heart attack risk by providing a lower stress mode of transportation than driving, conservatives have all the more reason to champion passenger rail. Most of us don't want to live short lives, but there is something else that I know most people, including conservatives, don't like: potholes. I've heard some version of the following, quote, "There is no such thing as a Democratic pothole or a Republican pothole. There are just potholes," end quote. I've heard some version of this quote attributed to former Philadelphia Mayor Michael Nutter, but I've heard this quote in so many places that I don't know who said it first. In any event, in the spirit of that quote, I think it's also fair to say that conservatives would happily take having to repair fewer potholes. And yet, by getting people out of cars and onto trains, there would probably be fewer and less frequent potholes. Why? Because fewer cars on the road would mean less wear and tear on the roads, which would mean fewer potholes and less of a chance of the cars people do own getting damaged by potholes. Are there any other reasons that you think conservatives should get behind passenger rail? If you have other reasons, or if you have any other thoughts on this video, I would like to hear from you in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a good day.